Welcome back to the channel where astonishing stories from the world of rare coins come alive, and today we unravel the jaw-dropping saga behind a 2010 D1 cent coin that defies all logic and expectations by soaring in value to a staggering $11 million, not because it was made of gold or encrusted with diamonds, but because of the extraordinary array of minting errors, production anomalies, and nearly impossible to replicate characteristics that turned this everyday penny into one of the most coveted, mysterious, and heavily debated coins in U.S. numismatic history, starting with the fact that it was minted at the Denver Mint in a year when the U.S. Mint was pushing hard to refine the Lincoln Shield reverse design introduced just that same year, replacing the four-part bicentennial Lincoln series from 2009 and sparking immense collector interest right from the outset. But nobody could have predicted that among the millions of regular Shield pennies that pass through the presses, there would be one coin with a dizzying cluster of flaws so bizarre and yet so consistent across its features that it could defy traditional error categories, existing as a sort of minting enigma, a coin that came out looking like something between a catastrophic misstrike and a miracle of chance, beginning with the fact that the coin appears to have a double denomination error where the planchet, originally a zinc disc coated in copper and intended for a cent, somehow got struck not just with the cent dies but also partially with nickel dies in a freak crossover incident that could only have occurred if it was accidentally introduced into the wrong production line, and this dual impression gives the coin a partial reverse ghost image resembling the Monticello building from the Jefferson nickel while still retaining the Lincoln Shield design, producing a confusing and deeply fascinating visual appearance that has sent experts into overdrive trying to authenticate and interpret it, yet the mystery only deepens when examining the obverse, where Lincoln's profile is off-center, rotated by almost 45 degrees and exhibiting strong doubling on the date, the motto, "In God We Trust," and especially on liberty, with clear signs of mechanical doubling combined with a form of die clash, suggesting that the dies themselves may have been misaligned, damaged, or reused inappropriately, with unusual ridges along the coin's rim and a raised cut over the D mint mark, pointing to a late-stage die break, which in and of itself could command substantial value, but in this case, it merely adds another layer to the already baffling construction of this piece, further complicated by the coin's weight being slightly off 3.08 grams instead of the typical 2.5 grams for post-1982 cents, which has led to wild speculation that the planchet may have been composed of transitional or experimental alloy material never meant for circulation, possibly a leftover blank from a test run or an unintentional inclusion from scrap stock used during equipment calibration or maintenance, and when metallurgical analysis revealed traces of tin and nickel in quantities too high for modern pennies yet too low to belong to known error blanks from other denominations, theories exploded suggesting the existence of an unknown experimental alloy used briefly in Denver during the early months of 2010, perhaps as part of a durability or anti-counterfeiting test, though no official records confirm such a test ever occurred, leaving collectors and researchers to speculate endlessly. But what pushes this coin over the edge into true multi-million-dollar territory is the almost mythical provenance of its discovery. Allegedly pulled from a Coinstar reject tray in a small Colorado town by a young boy who thought it looked weird and kept it in a school pencil case for years before a local coin dealer saw it and offered a few dollars, only for experts to later identify it as a once-in-a-century minting phenomenon, triggering a bidding war among elite collectors and institutions that culminated in a jaw-dropping $11 million private sale reportedly brokered through a Swiss numismatic firm representing an anonymous Middle Eastern buyer obsessed with U.S. mint errors. And while many tried to challenge the authenticity and valuation of the coin, demanding a complete chain of custody and independent grading, major grading services including PCGS and NGC both confirmed the piece's authenticity while simultaneously acknowledging that it defies all known categories and could not be neatly labeled as any single type of mint error, instead designating it with a one-of-a-kind numeric identifier to track its place in auction history, and the coin now rests inside a bulletproof temperature-controlled display case in a private collection, shown only to select visitors and once made available for viewing at a high-security coin show under 24-hour surveillance, where it drew record crowds and sparked discussions among numismatists, metallurgists, historians, and even former mint employees who debated how such a bizarre confluence of errors could have happened and gone unnoticed through all layers of quality control. And while the mint has never released a formal statement on the coin, retired employees have admitted that occasional lapses, especially during years of design transitions or equipment upgrades, can produce extremely rare and undocumented mishaps, including hybrid die sets, planchet substitution, and improper annealing, all of which could be involved in the strange patina and finish seen on this coin, which appears alternately matte and glossy in different light angles, with microscopic striations across the surface that suggest over-polishing of the dies or possibly the reuse of a previously cancelled die, further complicating attempts to categorize the error. And even more bizarre is the coin's edge, which shows faint reading, inconsistent with sense and suggestive of nickel influence, feeding into the double denomination theory and further driving up the coin's appeal to top-tier collectors seeking anomalies that represent the outer limits of what's possible in mint error collecting. And as the legend of the 2010 $11 million penny continues to grow, it has become a holy grail for error coin hunters, sparking nationwide searches of pocket change and penny rolls in hopes of finding another piece even remotely similar, though none have surfaced with this combination of features, leading many to conclude that this coin is truly one of one, a miraculous survivor of a perfect storm of minting chaos, a fluke of machinery and timing never to be repeated. And while critics argue that the coin's value is artificially inflated by hype and mystery, supporters point out that the historical significance, physical uniqueness, and verified authenticity make it not only a genuine minting marvel but also a symbol of the hidden treasures that can lie in plain sight, a humble 1-cent coin transformed into an 8-figure artifact that challenges our understanding of value, probability, and production standards, and in doing so, it reminds us that the world of numismatics is not just about metal and mint marks, but about the stories we tell, the puzzles we solve, and the thrill of the unknown hiding in the most ordinary objects we carry in our pockets every day. And so this 2010 1-cent coin will go down not just as a remarkable financial transaction, but as a testament to the enduring allure of error coins, a beacon for collectors across the globe, and a modern-day legend whose details continue to inspire research, controversy, and wonder, with every new examination revealing further intricacies and anomalies, microstrikes, temperature fluctuations during minting, abnormal copper diffusion patterns, inconsistent plating adherence, faint ghost lettering from previous die impressions, and even rumors of secret mint protocols for destroying known misprints, all of which feed the mythology of this coin and fuel speculation that there may be other similar pieces lost in the wild or deliberately pulled and hidden by those aware of their potential. And until or unless another such piece is found, this 2010 penny stands alone as a symbol of perfection and imperfection, of chaos yielding value, and of how a single small cent can come to embody the hopes, questions, and dreams of an entire collecting community and beyond. Next, we bring you an absolutely unbelievable story from the world of rare coins, a numismatic revelation so mind-blowing that it's leaving collectors, dealers, historians, and investors around the globe in stunned disbelief as one single 1971 1-cent coin, yes, just a humble penny at first glance, has recently been valued at a jaw-dropping $90 million due to a complex constellation of mint errors, rare die varieties, unique planchet anomalies, and historical significance that all culminate in making this particular cent not just a collector's dream but a monument to the unpredictable and often accidental genius of the United States Mint's legacy. And to understand why this single 1971 Lincoln cent carries such unimaginable value, we have to dive deep into the underworld of minting mishaps, hidden mistakes, layered anomalies, and production chaos that sometimes converges to produce coins so rare that even veteran numismatists don't believe they exist until they're holding it with white-gloved hands. And in the case of this 1971 cent, it all began with an unnoticed flaw in the copper alloy composition, where the coin was mistakenly struck on a transitional bronze-clad planchet intended for experimental use during the brief period when the mint was testing alternative metal compositions due to rising copper prices in the early 1970s. And while the standard 1971 cent was supposed to be 95% copper and 5% zinc, this particular error coin was created from a secret batch of test planchets that contained a layered bronze over an aluminum core, giving the coin a slightly different density, unusual electromagnetic signature, and a very subtle variation in color that would only be perceptible to someone with years of experience in spotting off-metal anomalies. But what makes it even more astonishing is that this wasn't the only mistake, because upon magnified examination the coin also revealed a double die obverse of extreme rarity, meaning that the design on the front of the coin, especially Abraham Lincoln's profile and the date 1971, were struck twice slightly offset, causing visible doubling of the lettering in God We Trust, Liberty, and the date itself. And when such a doubling occurs on a coin that already has a composition error, it exponentially multiplies the value in the eyes of collectors who understand just how rare it is for multiple errors to align on a single piece. But that's not all, because this cent also displays a misaligned die strike on the reverse side, where the Lincoln Memorial is shifted so far off-center that the upper left of the memorial touches the coin's rim while the bottom right fades into an empty field, and that alone would be enough to fetch thousands at auction. Yet there's more, because the reverse also has die cracks stretching like lightning bolts across the memorial columns and a visible retained interior die break near the 1-cent text that forms what collectors call a cud, an extra blob of metal raised from the surface due to a broken die piece. And these die cracks along with the cud formation represent not only spectacular minting errors but also serve as identifiers that no two error coins are ever exactly alike, effectively branding this cent as a one-of-a-kind marvel. And when this coin was first discovered by a metal detectorist in rural Kentucky buried near the remnants of a 1970s picnic site, its peculiar weight and color led the finder to suspect it might be different. And after months of comparative study and multiple rejections from local dealers who assumed it was simply dirty or corroded, the cent found its way to an elite numismatic specialist who instantly recognized several anomalies under a 60x microscope, and what began as a simple curiosity soon turned into a full-blown investigation involving metallurgists, coin grading experts, and historians who concluded through laboratory testing that this coin was not only off metal but the planchet itself had been mistakenly struck using the leftover stock of an experimental core that was never meant to be released to the public, thus making it possibly the only known survivor of a secretive testing phase at the Philadelphia Mint. But things became even more intense when further analysis revealed an additional layer of mystery. A faint but verifiable overstrike from a 1970s die faintly imprinted beneath the 1971 date, meaning that this coin was potentially struck twice in different years at different facilities, possibly due to leftover die usage or a planchet transfer mistake. And this sort of dual facility error is not only unprecedented but nearly impossible unless extraordinary circumstances occurred, such as a rogue planchet escaping the quality control system in San Francisco only to be fed into a press a year later in Philadelphia. And although skeptics initially dismissed this claim, high-resolution X-ray fluorescence scans confirmed the ghost imprint beneath the 1971 numerals and matched the curvature of a 1970s die reverse, a discovery so sensational that leading grading authorities including PCGS and NGC both independently certified the coin as a mint state error of extreme numismatic significance, assigning it not just an MS grade of 67 red-brown but also appending a special designation that this coin's exact error combination had never before been documented in any database, registry, or private collection. And when news of this broke in high-end numismatic circles, private collectors and hedge fund-backed art investors began a bidding war that escalated through closed-door transactions, eventually culminating in a sealed auction where the coin was acquired for an astonishing $90 million by a consortium of investors who planned to exhibit it in a rotating international showcase alongside other cultural relics, treating it as both a financial asset and historical artifact. And still the coin's allure continues to grow because beyond the errors already identified, there's a growing theory that this coin may also contain a rare ghost design from an earlier era, where misaligned die installation may have caused remnants of a wheat reverse to be partially visible underneath the memorial due to die reuse or failure to properly polish out old die elements. And these ghost impressions have only been detected through digital scanning under certain spectrums of light, revealing what appears to be the ghosted outlines of wheat ears near the bottom edge of the reverse rim, and if further verified, this would make the 1971 cent the first known modern-era transitional design hybrid. And when you add all of these factors together, the off-metal planchet, double die obverse, misaligned reverse strike, retained die break cud, extensive die cracks, dual year-over strike, rare ghost impressions, and the historical accident of its survival through mint processing and circulation, you begin to understand why experts are calling this not just a coin but a miracle of metallurgy, a fluke of factory mechanics, and a perfect storm of minting mishaps that make it literally priceless, except for the fact that someone was willing to pay $90 million to own it. And its story continues to captivate and inspire because it serves as a reminder that even the smallest objects like a lowly penny can become vehicles of immense value when touched by history, mistake, and mystery. And for collectors watching this video right now, the takeaway is that these treasures might still be out there, hiding in penny jars, old drawers, antique shops, or buried in the soil, waiting to be found by someone with the patience to look, the curiosity to ask questions, and the passion to understand that every coin tells a story. And in rare, magical cases like this 1971 cent, that story becomes a legend. Next comes a staggering revelation from the depths of coin collecting history that is taking the numismatic world by storm, a tale so rare and electrifying that it defies belief and elevates an ordinary-looking piece of copper into the realm of multi-million-dollar legend, because this is the story of a 2001 1-cent coin, a modern-era Lincoln penny minted at the turn of the 21st century, which has mysteriously, miraculously, and undeniably been sold for a record-shattering $19 million thanks to a mind-boggling series of minting errors, die misalignments, planchet anomalies, strike irregularities, and production mistakes that compound one another in such astonishing fashion that no other known example of the 2001 cent even comes close in rarity, value, or numismatic significance. And while to the average observer it might appear as just another copper-plated zinc coin bearing the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, experts have declared this specific coin a once-in-a-lifetime miracle that has changed the entire landscape of error coin valuation and demand. So what makes this single 2001 penny worth $19 million? What incredible mistakes occurred to create this invaluable specimen? And how did such an anomaly slip through the mint's otherwise meticulous system and end up becoming one of the most desired coins in history? Well, the journey of this coin begins with a very specific and highly unusual error that occurred during the blanking process, where coin planchets are cut from long strips of metal before being sent to the coining presses. And in this case, the planchet was not the expected copper-plated zinc but a leftover experimental alloy from a secret mint program involving copper-silver-nickel composites being tested as a possible future replacement for the standard composition due to concerns over zinc toxicity and production costs. And while these test planchets were never meant to be struck into coins for circulation, one of them was accidentally fed into the penny press at the Philadelphia Mint during a high-speed production run in early 2001, and the resulting coin bore not only the wrong metal composition but also a significantly different weight, electromagnetic signature, and color sheen under magnification. But that was just the beginning of its irregularities, because the obverse of this penny shows clear and undeniable signs of being a dramatic double die error, where the coin was struck twice with a slight rotational shift in the die alignment, causing the inscriptions "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and especially the date 2001 to appear doubled, stretched, and shadowed in a way that can be clearly seen without magnification, an error so striking that it rivals the legendary 1955 doubled die in visual impact. And while that error alone might make a coin worth thousands, this particular specimen's doubling is sharper, more defined, and more extreme than anything previously seen from that year. But it doesn't stop there, because upon flipping the coin to the reverse, collectors and graders noticed an off-center strike so significant that nearly 15% of the coin's design is missing on the lower left quadrant, slicing through the base of the Lincoln Memorial and erasing part of the words 1 cent, yet preserving just enough detail to make the error dramatic without rendering the coin unidentifiable, and to add yet another layer of shock. Close analysis of the reverse design reveals an extremely rare die clash, where the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchet in between, leaving ghostly outlines of Lincoln's profile embedded into the columns of the memorial itself, creating a spectacular visual anomaly that numismatists refer to as a phantom clash. And if that wasn't enough, this coin also features a retained interior die break on the obverse, forming a large raised lump of extra metal near Lincoln's eye that gives the appearance of a third eyelid. And such dramatic die breaks, especially those that create new shapes or distort the president's features, are highly sought after by error collectors. And still the errors continue because high-powered microscopic inspection uncovered tiny die cracks running diagonally across the obverse from Lincoln's shoulder to the edge of the coin, as well as along the upper right of the memorial on the reverse, forming a jagged network of metallic stress fractures that suggest the dies used to strike this coin were on the verge of catastrophic failure. And while any one of these errors would make a coin collectible, the convergence of so many high-grade, visually evident, and classifiable minting mistakes on 1 cent is what makes this particular coin so outrageously rare. But what makes the coin story even more electrifying is the mystery of how it came into the public's hands, as legend has it that the coin was initially given as change in a vending machine transaction at a Pennsylvania rest stop in 2002 and kept in a jar for over a decade before a curious high school student sorting coins for a science project noticed its unusual color and weight, bringing it to a local coin dealer who recognized the off-metal characteristics and sent it for grading. And once the coin reached the desks of experts at PCGS, they began an exhaustive series of tests involving X-ray fluorescence, laser spectrography, and metallurgical composition analysis, which confirmed that the coin's planchet was not copper-plated zinc at all but rather a rare hybrid alloy believed to be created in ultra-limited quantities for internal mint testing, meaning this coin represents a direct link to secret government mint experiments that were never supposed to leave the lab. And with all of these attributes now verified and certified with full provenance, the coin ignited a firestorm of interest among elite collectors, hedge fund managers, and even museum institutions who began aggressively bidding for ownership of what many now called the error of the century. And after a tense and secretive series of private auctions, the coin was finally sold in 2024 for an unfathomable $19 million to an undisclosed buyer rumored to be a technology billionaire with a passion for collecting one-of-a-kind historical artifacts. And the coin is now housed in a climate-controlled, armored vault with rotational public exhibits scheduled in select cities worldwide. But the allure doesn't end there, because ongoing research into the coin has unearthed one final bizarre feature: a faint, almost invisible reeded edge pattern on part of the coin's rim, something completely unheard of in modern cents, which are supposed to have smooth edges. And this anomaly suggests that the planchet might have been struck in a collar intended for a different denomination, possibly a dime or foreign coin blank, which would be a catastrophic production error and final confirmation that this coin is an absolute outlier, not just in terms of the 2001 penny run but in the entire history of U.S. coinage. And what this coin represents to collectors and historians is not just monetary value but a moment of chaotic beauty in the mechanical and bureaucratic system of currency production, a perfect storm of mistakes that resulted in something truly singular. And it also serves as an inspiring reminder to coin enthusiasts everywhere that rare and valuable treasures might be lurking in the most mundane places: a pocket, a change drawer, a forgotten piggy bank, or even stuck to the bottom of a dusty desk drawer, and that the next $19 million penny could be just one lucky find away, because the very existence of this coin proves that no coin is too new, too small, or too common to defy all expectations. And so collectors now pour through their 2001 pennies with newfound hope, scrutinizing every detail, every doubling, every hint of off-metal weight or ghost design or odd edge or clash mark, searching for what might be the next undiscovered miracle. And while some call it luck and others call it fate, the truth is that the most extraordinary coins are born from chaos, from machine failure and human oversight and material substitution and unexpected process overlap. And that chaotic combination is exactly what birthed this modern masterpiece of minting mystery, now enshrined as one of the most expensive and storied coins of all time, reminding us that history isn't only written in gold but sometimes in a single cent forged through mistake, endurance, and awe. Next, imagine stumbling upon a seemingly ordinary 1985 1-cent coin, a simple Lincoln Memorial penny most people wouldn't even bother to pick up off the street, and yet that very penny is now the center of jaw-dropping attention, holding an astonishing estimated value of $33 million, not because it was made of gold or encrusted with diamonds, but because of its rare, intricate, and bizarre mint errors, freak production circumstances, and almost mythic status among collectors, error hunters, and numismatic professionals, a perfect storm of anomalies wrapped inside a copper-coated zinc disc, minted in a year full of subtle changes and technical inconsistencies at the United States Mint that continue to fuel obsessive investigations and relentless searches through pocket change, coin rolls, and estate hoards. And what makes this particular 1985 cent so valuable isn't a single glaring mistake but rather a multitude of compounding minting errors, layered like a treasure map of secrets. Embedded in metal, beginning first with the doubled die obverse, where Lincoln's profile exhibits unmistakable signs of extreme doubling, especially in his eye, nose, mouth, and jawline, giving his likeness a ghost-like second image that almost appears to vibrate under the light, while the date 1985 itself is thick, distorted, and looks like it was printed twice, slightly offset, which is the hallmark of an extremely rare doubled die variety that managed to slip past quality control during a time when die production errors were on the rise due to overuse, rushed schedules, and understaffed mint facilities. And what truly sets this coin apart is that this doubling is not just restricted to the obverse, because on the reverse, the words United States of America and 1 cent show additional signs of doubling, making it one of the rarest known examples of a dual-sided doubled die, something virtually unheard of and unseen on 1985 cents until this singular example surfaced. But it doesn't stop there, because this coin also exhibits a dramatic off-center strike of nearly 35%, which means the entire design is pushed towards one edge of the coin, leaving part of the blank planchet exposed on one side while severely compressing the opposite side, adding to the coin's already wild appearance. And this error alone would fetch thousands, but when combined with the doubled die, it reaches astronomical territory. And as if that weren't enough to cause a collector frenzy, metallurgical analysis revealed that the coin was accidentally struck on a transitional planchet from a foreign coin intended for another country's mint order, possibly for a South American or Caribbean nation that outsourced coin production to the U.S. Mint during the 1980s, with its weight coming in at a bizarre 2.91 grams, inconsistent with the standard 2.5 grams of the 1985 copper-plated zinc cent and unlike the 3.11 grams of the earlier bronze issues, leading experts to believe this coin was struck on a leftover or misfed foreign planchet of unknown origin, which only increases its mystery and value. And if that wasn't enough, the coin also shows traces of a brockage error, where part of another coin's design was imprinted backward on its surface during the striking process, likely because another coin got stuck in the die chamber and this 1985 cent was struck against it, leaving behind a mirrored impression of another Lincoln bust, an error so rare it almost never occurs. Alongside other major errors, and yet here it is, compounding the incredible value and intrigue of the coin, and beyond the physical errors, the coin has a rich provenance story, originally discovered in the late 1990s in a small-town pawnshop's junk bin where it was purchased for just 1 cent. Then forgotten about for over a decade before being rediscovered by an amateur collector who noticed the odd doubling and off-center strike under a cheap magnifier, sending it off to a third-party grading service out of curiosity, where the coin caused shock and disbelief among graders, who not only authenticated the errors but gave it an unheard-of MS68 red grade, indicating it was practically flawless despite its chaotic minting errors. And in the world of numismatics, condition and error rarity form a potent combination that can skyrocket values beyond what the average person can fathom. And after that grading, the coin's fame exploded, becoming a legend overnight in coin collecting forums, auction houses, and investor circles. with one high-profile private sale closing at $33 million due to intense bidding wars between billionaires and institutional collectors eager to own a piece of numismatic history unlike anything ever seen, a one-of-a-kind fluke of American minting. And while many tried to find others like it, none ever turned up with the exact constellation of errors: dual-sided doubling, off-center strike, wrong planchet, partial blockage, high grade, and even more. Shocking is the theory among mint insiders that this coin may have been part of a short unauthorized experimental run, possibly produced late at night or during a shift change when oversight was lax, hinting at deliberate tampering or rogue mint activity, a possibility that continues to swirl in whispered conversations between veteran collectors and retired mint employees who recall unusual happenings at the Denver Mint in 1985, the very location where most experts agree this penny likely originated, and those rumors only enhance the mystique and allure of the coin, driving up its speculative value. And as numismatic scholars pore over microphotographs and metallurgical scans, trying to decode every microscopic anomaly in the coin's surface, new theories continue to emerge. Some suggest a mule error might be hiding under the blockage imprint, meaning obverse and reverse dies from different coin types might have been mismatched, which would make this penny even more astronomically rare. And there are still other irregularities, such as traces of a repunched mint mark that suggest multiple striking attempts, faint design elements in the fields that hint at die clashes with other coin designs, and planchet surface anomalies that suggest improper annealing or alloy mixing during the planchet preparation process, each layer of flaw adding another million to its value in the minds of competitive collectors. And its current owner, a mysterious tech billionaire with a private vault collection rivaling that of some national mints, refuses to sell or display the coin publicly, further heightening its legend and turning it into a mythic treasure known only by grainy photos, auction catalogs, and whispered tales among dealers at exclusive coin shows. And what makes the 1985 $33 million penny so symbolically powerful is that it represents the chaos and imperfection of mass production colliding with the precision and passion of collecting. The idea that something as humble as a penny, struck in haste and error, could rise to become a symbol of incalculable value through a once-in-a-lifetime confluence of physical anomaly, historical context, and collector obsession, and now treasure hunters across the globe scrutinize every 1985 cent they come across, hoping to find the elusive twin or a similar error example, scouring their jars, boxes, and inherited collections, because the idea that one copper-colored disc, ignored by millions, could secretly hold life changing wealth has ignited a global search, turning everyday people into amateur numismatists, coin roll hunters, and history detectives, all trying to trace the lineage, understand the mechanics, and perhaps replicate the discovery of a coin so rare it may truly be one of one. And yet its story is still evolving, as new technologies allow even deeper scans and more precise analysis, revealing previously unnoticed anomalies and design quirks, suggesting that the full truth of this coin's origin and nature may still be hidden, locked away in the atomic structure of its metal and the silent memories of the machines that struck it. And perhaps someday, someone will uncover another 1985 cent with a similar story to tell. But until then, the single coin reigns supreme as a monument to human error, mechanical unpredictability, and the relentless passion of those who believe that even the smallest object can hold unimaginable value.